So today we will be having a pretty different session, right, compared to our usual ones. This one should be more practical, especially on Claude Code. And I think I will also need to introduce myself. My name is Tia Angraini. I manage the recruiting department here at Scopic, and I'm delighted to guide you through today's session. But before we begin, we'd love to hear also from you. Drop a hello in the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. We'll be happy to give you a shout out. I am joining now from South Korea. And Ismael, where are you joining us from today?
Sorry, I'm in Mexico, northern Mexico.
Northern Mexico. And so we will like to also hear from other participants, from our participants today, where you guys are joining us from. And yeah, if this is your first time with us, welcome. And to everyone who has joined us in previous sessions, thank you so much for being part of this journey. Today's webinar will be our final session in this series, but we'll continue staying in touch and greeting you through our newsletter on LinkedIn. So make sure you go to our LinkedIn page and find our newsletter there and then subscribe. And just also a quick recap, last month we explored the new era of software development. We talked about which tasks are better handled by artificial intelligence and which ones truly still depend on human logic. And for today, we're diving into something very hands-on and beginner-friendly. If you've ever wondered about how do I use AI to code, can beginners really build things with AI, and also what does a real workflow, working with AI assisted tool really look like, then you are in the right place. And yeah, you have seen on your screen, we have our speaker today with us, Ismael Humberto de la Riva, who is our technical lead here at Scopic. And Ismael has been in software development for 20 plus years, right? And he specializes in architecture, workflows, and team mentorship. So he has been working closely as well with AI-assisted development tools. He's been also helping teams integrate them into real workflows. And so Ismael, I gave our participants a very brief intro of you, but the spotlight's now on you. Would love to hear from you about your path as well, if you can give more details.
Yeah, thanks, Tia. It's great to be here again. Thank you, everyone, for your patience about this technical issue. Now, I'm a technical lead here at Scopic Software. And recently, a big part of my work has been helping teams integrate AI-assisted tools into the actual workflow. Mm-hmm. And especially Claude Code, I think it's one of the most interesting tools that we have tried out. That's why we thought that it would be a good point to start in this demo. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about this tool is that they're moving beyond simple autocomplete. They're starting to understand the project, to adjust to different workflows, and to collaborate with developers in a much more interactive way than before. Yeah. So today I'll give you some advice on how to use it in real life scenarios, and then jump to a demo where I sort of show off how it actually all works.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And Ismael, we got actually some comments from our participants today. So they're joining us from Kosovo, from Ukraine. There's also Cambodia, Albania, Ukraine, Paraguay. It's amazing. We got people from all continents, almost all continents. It's really amazing. But yeah, keep them coming. Everyone would like to see if we got, Uruguay as well. Nice. Wow, we have Ecuador. Okay. Well, people are waking up early for this webinar. It's interesting. Okay. I think before we start into the main content, Ismael, we're still waiting for some other participants to read their email. Let's break the ice with a quick question to get the conversation flowing. We will have, okay, this is the questions. Are there any AI tools for developers that excite you these days? Jump in, everyone. We would like to hear from you as well if you have been trying any AI tools for developers lately and they're exciting for you. We can probably learn from each other. But before we read the answers from our participants, Ismael, let's hear from you as well. Do you have any interesting tools you have been trying out lately?
Well, yeah, I think that right now for me is just the speed of things, because I've been trying out a lot of stuff from Cursor, from Windsurf.
Yeah.
Cloud Code is launching new features almost every week, so it's
Yeah.
amazing. And there's other projects like OpenCloud that's also really interesting that I've been looking at. So I think that there's something new for everyone and for all levels. If you're really technically focused into code, there's things like Cloud Code. And also if you maybe want to just have like to try it out, some development tools without actually knowing a lot about development, you have also like Lovable and Replit and some other more user-friendly tools out there. So right now it's a really interesting time, I think, for developers to try out new things.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like most of our participants have been trying out Claude Code as well as something that almost everyone mentioned. Open Claude, Claude Code, ChatGPT, Claude Code, Kilo Code, Codex, Claude, M Code, Claude, Claude Code. Yeah. So Claude Code seems like to be the most used one, the most tried ones. One of the most tried out ones. Okay, keep them coming. If you have been trying out something else different, let us know and we can discuss. And okay, I think we can get into the main content. But before that, let me quickly walk you through what we have prepared for today. We'll start with a simple introduction to Claude Code, just to get everyone on the same page and understand what it is and how people are actually using it in real workflows. After that, we'll go through some of the basic comments and how things are usually structured when you start working with Claude Code. And then we'll get into the fun part. We'll do a live demo where Ismael will share his screen and walk you through a simple example, step by step, so you can really show it's okay, how it works in practice. And before we wrap up, we'll talk about some practical use cases, plus a few common beginners mistakes, just to help you avoid the usual frustration when getting started. So overall, it should be very hands-on and easy to follow, especially if you've been in software development. Ismael will take over after this, but I'd like to remind everyone that since this is a practical session, feel free to jump in with questions at any point during the session. We really encourage it. You can submit your questions through the chat or the Q&A feature. We'll be addressing most of the questions toward the end of the presentation, or as Ismael, has the demo. And if we don't get to everything live, no worries. We'll make sure to follow up afterward by sending you the answers via email. Okay, I guess it's time. Ismael, the floor is yours.
Perfect. So let's start with the basic. Let's start with Cloud Code. What it is, how we use it at Scopic, and the most important habits that will help you work in real life projects, just like we do it right now. Not on demos, not on tutorials, but real life projects. So for anyone that may not be familiar with Cloud Code, this is an AI coding assistant that lives inside your project. It's not just a chat window, it actually lives inside your code base. It reads your file, it understands your structure, and writes directly to your code. Next slide, please. Now, before we start, I want to talk a little bit about how developers we previously work with AI tools or AI projects. So let's say you're working on a feature or a fix and you hit a problem, then you open either ChatGPT or Claude in the browser, and then it becomes a little bit manual. You have to go to your file, look at the part that maybe it's the problem, copy the part of the code, go to ChatGPT, paste it, then you need to spend some minutes explaining what first of all what the project's about. You may need to tell it that it's a Node.js issue, that you're using this framework. I'm trying to do X and I'm encountering Y, and you click it and hope for the best. After that, you wait, you get a result. You need to then copy that result, find in your project where to paste it, try to see if it works, and maybe repeat this step, so on and so on. And after this back and forth, you probably get something that works at the end. Does this sound familiar to anyone? So that workflow is not wrong. It works. It's probably something that every one of us has done before. But the problem is that it has a hard ceiling. For starters, AI is always making assumptions. It may not know what exact version of Python or Node or PHP or React or any other framework you're using. It doesn't know the conventions that the team has in place because it can never actually see the whole project. Second, this approach starts getting complicated the moment that changes involve several documents or several features. For more complex things, you would have to copy multiple files, write a longer prompt, make sure that it makes sense, describe how the files are linked, what each file is doing. And that is exactly what Cloud Code comes in. Next, please. So context changes everything. Here's what changes with Cloud Code. So it knows your project. You don't have to explain it every time. It writes to your files, so no more copy paste, and it shows you the changes so you can see every change before it lands. It will also remember what it just built, so each task connects to the last, so you can keep a conversation going. At the end of the day, it's the same AI, but it has context. It's more efficient and allows you to make more complex work. Next, please. So before we go further, I also want to be honest about the risks, because there are risks, and it can go wrong very fast if you don't use it carefully. For example, big prompts produce unreliable code. The quality of your results is proportional to the quality of your prompt. If the prompts are vague, if they lack details, if you don't break down big features into smaller tasks, your cloud session will produce lower quality results. Now, this could be in the form of bugs, lower quality implementations, and duplicate code, or even just wasted time and tokens. The second point is skipping the diff review. Do not accept changes without reading them. Do this and bugs will go straight into your code. Now, maybe you write a prompt and you see it working on the background, and while you wait, you get up, you go for a cup of coffee, and then come back. You see the results, and it's really tempting to just click continue and stop and stand up and do something else, waiting for other results while the AI continues working. But cloud can make mistakes. And one of the main advantages of AI, which is coding speed, now works against us because it can go in the wrong direction really, really fast. So you need to be there to guide it. The other point is that cloud doesn't know your conventions until you tell it. So in development in general, there's always different ways to implement the same feature. And this happens a lot on big teams or big projects where there's a lot of people, that if this is not checked, it can generate messy code across the project. So what we do is implement code conventions to help us keep the code organized and structured. But if you don't share these conventions with Claude, Claude will improvise. And improvised code in a project will cause problems. The other problem is, or risk, is context limit.
Yeah.
Context has a limit, so long sessions accumulate noise. The longer a conversation runs, the higher the risk for incorrect code or misunderstanding of the requirements. And lastly, something that is very personal to developers. If Claude does all the thinking, then you as a dev will lose grasp of what is happening.
Yeah.
And this is very dangerous. As developers, we need to be familiar with the code to take better decisions. In my particular example as a TTL, this is a critical point for me. One of my main responsibilities is taking decisions.
Yeah.
So I need to know where the project stands. I need to know if we're weak. I need to know we're strong. I need to know which is the best course of action for at any given time. So you see a lot of risks, and every one of these points has a fix. That's what will separate great developers from the rest. And that is what we'll try to discuss next.
Before we move on, Ismael, can you tell us which of this risk, from the risks that you have mentioned, right, that resonate the most with your experience?
I think it's a mix between skipping, reviewing the changes, and over-reliance. Because it's extremely tempting to just let it write it out in auto mode or autopilot.
Yeah.
And when you work on small features and small tasks, you see it work, and you maybe get some overconfidence there that it will work everywhere because you see a lot of great results.
Yes.
But what we have been seeing is that in big projects, the risk is too much, and the complicated the work, there's more risk of problems that, if not caught early, can become really big issues later on.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry. So 4 habits. Let's talk briefly about them, and then we will go over them in the demo.
Yeah.
CLAUDE.md first, the Claude markup file. Give Claude permanent context before you write a single prompt. Save time, save tokens, get better results. One task per prompt. Detailed and focused, big, and complex every time. So 5 extra minutes writing prompt details for a complex feature can save you hours later. Make sure you break down big features into smaller tasks. Clarify. Let Claude tell you where the gaps in the prompt are, so you can clarify the assumptions before it starts building.
Okay.
And last, just review the diff. This is your last line of defense before code hits your code base. So your review is really important. Let's go through them now in the demo.
Okay.
Let me now jump and share my screen really quickly. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
I am seeing it now. It's only blue though. It's showing blue.
Let me try sharing it again.
And we would also encourage everyone who has installed Claude Code to also open Claude Code and try out together.
Sorry, I'm trying out different things to see.
Okay. Yeah, we
There.
can see it. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So this is just a really, really simple to-do project. It's
Okay.
basically the same project that when you're trying out a new framework or a new language is the one that you create. So
Okay.
it's really simple. Let's see what we have. Let's see. We have two routes for the to-do list, an index, a show, to-do controller. Let's see the to-do controller. Again, extremely basic. This is just for the demo purposes.
Okay.
And this is the starting point for us. But you can use whatever project you're working on right now, regardless of language or framework or how advanced you are. All the tips that we're going to discuss will work.
Okay.
But in this case, I'm doing something really simple just so it doesn't get confusing of what exists and what is not. But sorry, let's start with habit one. So since this command may take a while, let's run it before I explain it. So I'm opening Claude using the Claude integration with PHP Storm.
Okay.
Trying out, here you can see it. So there's different flavors to Claude Code. You can be using the desktop application, the web application as well, just the CLI, or in this case that I'm using the CLI integration through a plugin from PHP Storm.
Okay.
It would be the same engine under all of those. So you will get the same results. All the tips and habits that we're going to discuss apply to them all. It's just a different way of how you interact with it. So it's just that difference. So let's start off by writing the first command and this slash init. The description mentions initialize a new Claude markup file with a code base documentation. So let it run. Sorry. So one of the main goals we have as developers is to try and get more consistent results, reduce errors, and make stronger applications. The Claude markup file helps us with this. Think of it as Claude writing its own base project documentation. So every time that you work on it using Claude, this generated file will be the first thing it reads. This will save tremendous times on corrections, tokens. Let me see what it's asking. First, say let's let it search. So, sorry. So this will save, like I said, a lot of tokens and a lot of time. And still searching. It's asking for permissions to check other files. I'm going to click next. And because you're helping Claude know what is important.
Okay.
It will save time with a summary of your project requirements and conventions. Otherwise, this search that is doing right now will need to happen at the start of every conversation. And in this case, it's a small project. So I imagine that it's going to take around maybe 1 to 2 minutes.
1 to 2 minutes.
But it may take longer on bigger projects.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do, and just to give you like a little bit more of an idea of what is happening, let's see what is I'm going to skip this because it's trying to test, just to make it finish faster. It's also requesting access to review the Git history. Again, you can click accept in your case, but I wanted also to finish a little bit faster, so I'm going to click now. So what we're trying to do right now is that prepare a file that will be like a prefix to all your future prompts. So when you start the conversation, even if you don't see it in the background, Claude will read this at any conversation that you start. So when you start, it will not start in a blank state. It will have some sort of background of what the project is about. Otherwise, since Claude doesn't have like a memory from new conversations, each time it will need to investigate. And since AI is not deterministic, sometimes it would search and find different things to what you expect.
Yeah.
Another thing is that since the search is in the background, you don't see what it actually searched, and you don't see the results. And in this case, we can. So it has just finished. Let's see what it produced. It mentions, okay, this is a file to provide guidance to Claude Code and for the repository. Now, it detected it's using Laravel 8, that it's a to-do management application, that we're using PHP 8, that it's on MySQL. It even detected that it's a demo project for a webinar. You can see it also sort of listed the most important commands and a little bit about architecture. So let's see what it says. Just as a note, as mentioned with AI, it's not always the exact same results that you will get. So it's very common to have different things produced, so it's important to read them. So in this case, it mentions a little bit about API architecture, that there are no blade views, about the request flow, some key files, about testing. It even mentions something about the coding style, which is enforcing.
Okay.
So pretty interesting stuff. Now, but notice what is missing. It's too general, and that's okay, because Cloud doesn't know what your specific requirements you have. So it doesn't force anything. This is a starting point, not a finished product. Because in this case, you as a developer have the option to enrich it with your requirements, with your needs, with any note that your technical lead or your senior dev either gave to you about a project. You can add it here so that Cloud also follows that convention. For example, I'm going to paste one that I have ready just to not take too much time. Let's say that I want to add a new section that is code conventions.
Yep.
And I mentioned that I always want a form request class for validation. This is a convention because you can do inline validation, but I prefer to have it on a separate request class. This is my preference as a technical lead. And also, you can mention it what not to do. For example, no new packages without asking. And by packages, I mean dependency packages like from Node or Composer or whatever. You can say no long controllers, for example, or no business logic in models, things like that. This prevents Claude from going in directions you didn't intend. And for example, you can just add it here. You can add a section, do not add new packages or dependencies without user confirmation. So you have control here. You can add, you can enrich it, you can add whatever you want, what are your specific needs at that moment. So now you can commit this file to the repository. This will be used by all your colleagues when using Claude Code and through all the different conversations. As a technical lead, maybe this would be your focus in those cases, or if you are lead in the project. So one file becomes permanent shared context and rules for the entire team.
Okay.
Now, one important note is that you need to keep it concise. You need to keep it short. Focus on the critical notes and just the critical stuff. 200 lines max. Longer files and we risk saturating the context and having some of the notes ignored.
Okay. But 200, that 200 rule is not coming from Claude Code, right?
No, it doesn't enforce it. So you can certainly manually go over it, but we have seen the documentations, I think it reads maximum, I think 300. But in our experience, we have noticed that the shorter the file, the better results we have received. Because it's, at the end of the day, it's a sort of part of the prompt. So it can be some cases where even if it's there, those rules could be ignored. So that's why also the review is really important. Okay. So Now for a bonus tip. I prefer to create my prompts instead of the terminal directly in Claude. I prefer to create a file for them. So I'm creating a new file, prompt.txt. And what I mean by that is that instead of writing the prompt here, I prefer to write it on a separate file. So I do this for 3 reasons. Sometimes you're writing and mistakes happen and muscle memory kicks in and you click enter, and that will send the prompt before it's ready. So having it on a separate file allows you to prepare it correctly, to take your time, to make sure everything is okay. And the second point is that sometimes your prompts are long and complex. Maybe I want to, I don't know, show a part of the controller and you copy and you paste. And maybe you need to clean up a part of it. Maybe you don't want the whole method just to return. So it's faster and easier to do it in a separate file than there. And lastly, in my case that I'm using PHP Storm that has some validation and some autocomplete with AI, as you can see, the autocomplete kicks in and I have the option to sort of make faster progress using that. The auto-completion doesn't trigger on the terminal, so I think it's just a good bonus to have it. So in this case, we're going to prepare the prompt here, and after that, when we want to use it, we just reference it here.
Okay.
So let's see what is a good prompt. Let's compare 2 examples really quickly. So both of these are the same request, but the first one is vague on every detail. What validation, what response format, what status code. Claude will certainly accept this, but it will make assumptions, and the result at the end may not be what you expect. So the second example that we show here below, this part, is the same request, but it's clear here. There we mention all of our requirements, not just the task in itself.
Yeah.
The goal is to try to make it easier for Claude to know what you actually want. In this particular example, I know it's very simple. It's a very simple task. You can definitely request more complex features, but you need to find the right balance. The bigger the scope, the more likely is to hallucinate or forget or have incorrect context. So try to keep them short and focused. So jumping on to the next habit. And let's see, it's clarify. So for this scenario, let's use the bake prompt, the one that is sort of incomplete. So on more complex features, there's the option of having maybe prompts that are not as full as we liked. As much as developers, we take our time writing prompts, there may be gaps. And gaps will force Claude into making assumptions, just like we mentioned before. So how do we avoid this? How we add a failsafe to this? The solution? We just ask it. So this prompt that is incomplete, that is missing details, we can just mention before starting to work, ask any question to clarify the requirements.
Okay.
And get better, to get better results. Let's put it like that. So I'm going to send this. And let's see what happens. So again, maybe the prompt is big, maybe the feature is too complex, and you can't see the gaps, but Claude will. And for example, in this big prompt, it's asking, what validation rules should we apply to the title field? A perfectly reasoned question because it's a gap in the prompt.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see the options. We have required 255 max characters, required minimum 3, maximum 255. That's a minimum. It's an improvement over the first solution, and just required without any length constraints. You can also have the option to complement this manually with something different or chat about this. And this will trigger a sort of discussion if you have any questions about the implications of our clarification. So let's choose number 2. It has another question. It mentions, should be the completed field be accepted in the create request or always default to false? Interesting. I'm going to leave it optional here. What HTTP status code should be the success response return? Now, this is interesting because in reality, supposedly the convention is to return 201.
Okay.
I know a lot of developers that prefer to return 200. And so that's why it asks, because she knows that there's a different behavior here. So in my case, I prefer 201. So let's click it.
Okay.
You can submit or change the answer. We submit, and now it will continue.
Mm-hmm.
So by letting her ask you before starting work, you catch these assumptions before they get to the code base.
Okay.
Because it will clarify, instead of just starting work, taking an assumption.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why clarify is habit number 3.
Okay.
Now that we triggered this, we jump directly really fast into habit number 4, that is review every diff. And this screen is the diff review. Now, this particular diff view is one of the features of the PHP Storm Cloud plugin. By other cloud presentations, like we said, like the desktop one or the web app, will show it differently, but they will show the changes. It will list every line that had changed so you can review it.
Okay.
So let's see, in this case, it's just a small change. It's just adding a request. Can apply. And it will continue working. Let's see what it does. It's now jumping to the store requests class, JSON response. Now here you can see on the diff, there's a small issue. So on the cloud file, I asked that I wanted, this may be a little bit too technical, but just to give you like an example of something. So this is working, this is correct. This if launch will work. But it contradicts something that I requested on the first habit on the CLAUDE.md file, where I wanted that each validation should be on a request class. Yeah. So what I can do here, I have 2 options, to apply or to reject. I'm going to reject it. And that's what is important of the diff. It's not only to view it, you need to take control of the development. So in this case, I'm going to mention it. I want validation of, to be on a separate request class instead of inline. So you're not just a spectator here. You need to be a participant. Right now, it's now mentioning that it is creating the request class that I wanted to create.
Yes.
And it will now work on it. So we do this not only to make sure it looks right. We do this, let's see what else. Again, it's now using the validation in the to-do request class, not here inline, how it was before. Let's continue. Let me see if it finishes. And here is the request class that I asked for. The validation is now here. So we do this not only to make sure it looks right or that it doesn't have any errors. you have to stay familiar with what is happening in your own code base. The review is not just a formality to catch bugs or catch difference in implementation, just like this example. It's how you keep the knowledge of the code up to date, even when Claude is the one writing it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's accept. To do store. This is correct as well. Is the new API route. And it's done. It's asking me if we want to run the test to confirm everything.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's all the habits. Now, Tia, I'm a little bit lost on time. Do we have time for a bonus habit, or is it all the time that we had for this?
I think we can go over it very quickly and then we'll answer the questions.
So, okay. So I want to throw in a really fast a bonus habit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about managing contacts. So I want to show you how to do it in a way that it matters. We have made some progress here or on our application.
Mm-hmm.
This conversation in particular is just focused on the creation of the to-do app in
Okay.
a to-do controller. So as we work, Claude is storing notes about what we requested and what it has done in this conversation. That is what we call context. Now, context has a limited size and it's changing as we go further in the conversation, so it's important that we manage it.
Okay.
We need to make sure all the information it needs to continue working without making it too long or without mixing things not related to the feature at hand, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that we want to work on something completely new about the app, unrelated to the current focus of the exact to-do controller implementation. Maybe we want to work on the design of the front end. Maybe we want to work on authentication.
Mm-hmm.
And as we all know, sometimes the project requires to go on side quest.
Mm-hmm.
So we can certainly keep using this conversation that we have. It will work, but it will pollute this particular conversation context.
Okay.
Imagine that it's like talking with a friend and talking about vacation and then talking about work and then talking about cars and then again about vacation and then again about cars. Your
Yeah.
friend will try to follow your story, but probably at some point he's going to get confused and get some items
It's
mixed up.
lost. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we work around that? How do we work on other features while keeping context clean and separate? What we do is that we use the clear command. So we
Okay.
do clear, and there it goes. We start fresh. The conversation is gone. The only context that we still have is the base one that we provided on habit number 1, the markup file for Claude.
Okay.
That's why it was important to create it as at the first step.
First, yeah.
So it's just the same thing, just not the chat history. It's a fresh start for a completely different task.
Mm-hmm.
So quickly, let's see what we can do for it. Let's say that we now to change the focus and we want to focus on security and ask it to check for also XX vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Again, let me prompt. Okay. So while it runs, we can chat about this. This is a separate concern. This is security.
Mm-hmm.
And I want Claude to think about this with a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
A clean context gives us a clean answer. If the same agent is doing both the coding and the thinking, sometimes it tends to rationalize its mistakes. The prompts and requests we do to the agent start affecting how it behaves and what role it assumes. This could be as a builder developer, as a security analyst, as a solutions architect. So any role that it takes will produce different results.
Okay.
In this case, we can see what mentions. Let me real quickly. low risk of SQL injection. It mentions a little bit of what is happening and why. No XXS, medium risk stored, and a lot of different nodes. So in this case, we don't have time to focus on this, but I just wanted to show how this is a different lane. So let's say we're different, we're done with the security check, and we want to continue with the original effort of building the controller to-do app. How do we do this? How do we continue that conversation without having to restart and giving it context of what we've done? We just go and click resume. And here it will list the two conversations that we have. The init one is the original one that we started some minutes ago, and the current one, the prompt, is the security related one. So this, I just select init.
Okay.
And here it is. The previous conversation is back. The context that we worked on is back. And we can continue exactly where we left off before the security check side quest. So clear and resume aren't just about forgetting. They're about managing which context you're using for a task, allowing us to get the best results at any given time. So this would be all the habits. 4 habits plus a really quick 5th one. And as you can see, none of them are about typing faster or knowing more syntax. They are about staying in control of the context, of the output, of the quality. At the end of the day, that's what using AI really is in projects. The tool may be new, but the responsibility is the same.
Okay. Gotcha. Shall we go over the questions now? We have received a few here. We received 2 from Daniel. The first one is, any tips for plan mode? And then second one, any tips for agents and sub-agents coordination?
Well, in plan mode, mostly my recommendation is to focus on when a task is big to be like a simple task. And one thing that is good, I think, with Claude is that some months ago, you had to specifically enter plan mode to get the best results. And that's a little bit related to the sub-agents as well. So before, with Claude, you had to explicitly tell it, I want to start in plan mode, and then you exit it when you were happy, and it was sort of a direct action. But now, especially about the latest updates, I've seen that if you request a big feature and you ask it to sort of discuss it and discuss the implications about how to approach it, it would automatically enter plan mode. So you don't have to actually now request exactly how to do it. So my tip will be only this, that if this is a feature that is really big, that you want to break it down, that you want to take your time, do ask it to discuss it first, and imagine it's your friend to your side. You're talking about it, discuss it, do not touch the code until you're happy. And regarding sub-agents, is sort of similar. You will see with Claude that the moment that you have a big feature, it will trigger the creation of sub-agents to make it faster, because now that it is done different things, sometimes it's working on tests, sometimes it's analyzing security issues, Claude would automatically trigger sub-agents for this. And regarding the manual trigger of sub-agents, I think that's a little bit too big to discuss. And this is something that is really interesting. And hopefully when we reschedule some of these webinars, we have a chance to discuss.
Perfect. Next question from Andrew. Is there a good way to feed a design, such as a Figma file or similar, that's been provided by a UI UX designer?
Well, I have tried different things. And at this moment, what I most like is using MCP integration with Figma directly. For this, you need the application, not just the web access. But it's, I need to be clear on this. I think that this is a little bit of well, let's say that there's room for improvement here from Claude.
Mm,
Your designs will probably get you like 80%, 85% there. The other part, you will need to do it manually. One thing that I've seen it struggle is that, for example, images or icons that are SVG, they will
yeah.
not be imported. If, for example, your design has an edit button with a pen or a pencil, the classic icon for edit,
Mm-hmm.
when you import it, it's going to have that button, but
Mm-hmm.
probably a completely different icon of who knows
Yeah.
where that is going to find. So
Yeah.
the right now it will take you like 80%. I really do think that it's great because it saves a lot of time, especially on UI behaviors, because
Okay.
it detects if it's a gallery or a slider really well. And I think that it is implemented really great. But the actually design, I haven't seen right now like a full-on 100% crisp implementation. Most of the time, I'm the one that I'm adjusting and cleaning up
Intuitive.
and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next question. Anonymous though. Is it a good option to use init? There are some considerations that auto-generated Claude.md, it's more tokens, and it is a good practice to use custom Claude.md.
So in this case, the review, that's why it's important because
Okay.
you will need to see it. And that's why you don't have to, or I don't recommend that you accept it automatically. Review it and see it for yourself. If you see that there are gaps and you say, I'm not happy with this because it's missing or it has too much or whatever,
Yeah.
you have the control to clean it up. It's not set in stone. It's a
Mhm.
suggestion from Claude after looking at your code.
Okay.
So the plan is for you to review it, to
Mhm.
remove stuff that you think that it's not needed, that it's maybe not critical. We
Yeah.
could, in this example, I just went for it really quickly, but maybe in a real life scenario, I would have removed the commands exact example that it showed. That's
Mhm.
why it's important to review. Do not
Mhm.
even my tips and habits or wherever I mentioned, do not take in stone. You have to review those changes. You have
Right.
to be the one responsible for what is happening.
Mhm. Mhm. That's basically the rule of thumb, I would say, right? You take control.
Yeah, yeah, you need to take control of this. It's a new
Mhm.
tool, and at the end of the day, the responsibility lies on us as developers. So
Mhm.
it's how we use it, but we need to review and check.
Yeah. Okay. Next question from Calisenda. How can we know how small to make the sections? Is there any rule?
Sorry, the sections, I imagine that on the Cloud MD or
Yes,
what
Claude.
would
I think the question is for Claude MD.
so for the Cloud, I suggest just to try to make it as concise as possible. If you don't have to exactly worry about, oh, I added another word, something like
Yeah.
that. But again, imagine that you're talking to a friend and it's a new developer and he just joined the team. And this is
Mhm.
critical because each conversation is blank. It's like getting a new guy every time. Every time you
Right.
trigger a new conversation or you click clear,
Uh-huh.
it's a new person. So
Mhm.
in this case, what information would you share about the project so he
Mhm.
can pick up faster? It could be,
Okay.
I don't know, be careful about long controllers
Right.
or I don't know, remember to use this library for mathematical or financial calculations. Remember to do
Mhm.
this, remember to do that.
Yeah.
That's what you should put there. And if, for example, it's something very specific, if it's something for, let's say, for the authentication model on mobile devices, maybe
Mhm.
that's just too specific that
Mhm.
the whole team doesn't need to know about it. So maybe you can keep it separate as a skill or something
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm. Gotcha. I think Irene raised hand. Is it can we probably unmute Irene to see if there's any question? Because otherwise Irene has also mentioned a question here. Will the recording be shared? And the answer is yes. We will be uploading the question to our YouTube.
Sorry, I wanted to know if this recording will be like accessible somehow. I didn't know the hours, so I kind of missed it. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And yes, the answer is yes. We have this recorded and we will upload it on our YouTube. But you can also see the post on our LinkedIn, and we will have the link shared there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Another question, Ismael, from Fatima. She said, I have Claude Code installed on the server and use it a lot from the command line. Can you show how to install it on the IDE?
On the IDE, well, it's I don't know what IDE you're using, but if you go to the Claude Code page to install it, there's the option there. Let me see if I can really quickly Cloud. A second. Okay, so let me quickly share my screen just to show you. So here is Cloud Code where you have the chance to download it. And here is the options that you have. This is the integration that I'm using for, in this case, PHP Storm with JetBrains. But this is also the one for Visual Studio. And you can also, well, use the web one. This doesn't have, doesn't need installation. The desktop one. And here you can see a visual example of how they will look. You can even install it on Slack. I haven't tried this out, to be honest, but if anyone has done it, please let me know how it works, if it works correctly or not.
Okay. All right. So for Fatima, you can access, probably you can send us the link, Ismael. So, so they can access it directly. Another question from Nikolai. First of all, thank you for your presentation. How well does Claude Code adapt to a specific project's internal coding styles and architectural patterns? In other words, does it generate code that complies with internal standards rather than just following general best practices?
Well, that's what's the important of two things. First, the Claude file that we created, because that's the plan to keep general personalized directions that are not part of the general consensus, and also about your prompts. And because this is, as you mentioned, it may follow general conventions, but sometimes that's not even the case. You have to make peace that AI generated code, like I said, is not deterministic. You can send the same prompt and get 5 different results. So at the end of the day, the only thing that you have as a line of defense is the actual review. You review it, you correct it, you make sure that maybe you add that note to the prompt or add it to the CLAUDE.md file. There's also some other options that you have to be more specific for something particular, like, let's say, commit history, and those are skills, Claude skills. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to jump into that, but it's something really interesting. If you have a chance, I please invite everyone to investigate a little bit about Claude skills. That opens up an opportunity to give particular context to features. For example, if you want to, I don't know, make a note directly about tests, and you have some conventions particular about tests, you can just relate to that skill in particular that you created, and Claude will grab that context just for test. So that's something interesting that helps you solve that particular issue. But yeah, at the end of the day, you don't have that assurance that it will always follow those conventions, so you always have to review.
Okay. Another question, Ismael, and this might be the last question that we can entertain on the session. If a project is truly large, for example, a framework, should it be split into parts for better context or left intact? And if split, how best to communicate the relationships between the parts?
So, okay, I think that the split part or not, it unfortunately depends on the project, but also I want to mention another tip that I didn't have to discuss this.
Yeah.
If, for example, you're working on a project that has backend and front end, and those live on different folders in your computer. In the past, maybe you had to sort of maybe ask something in the backend, and the backend would say, oh, you need to do this on the front end. And then you would need to open Claude on the front end and have like two different people talking to each other and you passing around messages. So to solve that, if you ever get to a case where you have a big project that is on several folders, there's a command that is /add, and then I think it's hyphen folder. And this will give Claude access to different folders on your machine. So with that, you can have like, you can give it access to Claude to your front end project, but also to your backend on the same conversation. So she can solve and look at both files without being like a messenger in between.
Okay. So basically, it really depends on the project itself.
Yeah, the split, I think it would depend because I'm not sure what I could recommend. It seems more like a software architecture issue more than, I don't know, something different. If it's just a conversation, I would split the conversation. Maybe if that's the question, I would split the conversation into scopes. One conversation for authentication, one conversation for, I don't know, CRUD created tasks for creating items, one for security, one for tests. Try to separate conversation into context.
Okay. And that was it. I wish we could entertain more questions, but due to time constraint, that was the last question that we could entertain. Everyone, thank you so much for the questions. But before we wrap things up, let's take a moment to quickly go over some of the key takeaways from today's session, just to make sure everyone leaves with something clear and also practical. So key takeaway number one, give Claude context before you start. I think Ismael has mentioned this over and over again, and CLAUDE.md is really how you do that permanently. It's not just for you, it's for every developer on your team and for every conversation you open on this project. And then second, good habits are key. Short prompts, review the changes, ask for clarifying questions if the test is complex, and interrupt when you need to. And last but not least, number three, you are still the developer. And this is probably the most important takeaway, I would say, Ismael, from our session today.
Yeah.
Claude is fast, yeah, but it doesn't replace you. It doesn't know everything you know about the project, the context, the conventions, right? So the people who get the most out of these tools are the ones who trust them the most. They're the ones who pay attention to what is being done, still stay curious, use the tool to go faster without going blind, and still have like the entire control over what's going on, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for spending your time with us today. We truly appreciate the energy and support you have shown, all of the questions, not just today, really, but throughout this entire webinar series. This marked our final session for now. We're especially grateful to have shared this journey with you all. We would love to stay connected. If you're interested in joining Scopic, feel free to check our careers page at scopicsoftware.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn to get updates on upcoming announcements, activities. And also don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. We will do the same thing that we do on our webinars there. We will learn about, different things, different trends, different technology. And yeah, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Take care, everyone, and we hope to connect with you again soon in new and exciting ways. Have a good rest of your day. And bye for now.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.